Okay, guys. 22 participants. Nice, nice to see you. And yeah, welcome everybody, and welcome everyone to our 18th Tech Talk after summer break. I'm happy to be your host today. My name is Jan Frömberg from Cloud and Heat Technologies, and I'm a technical business development manager. So yeah, today here the agenda will be a tech talk and a discussion afterwards. I will give you some news and updates on the events that will be happening surrounding to the ALASCA community, and our tech talk. Today's tech talk is installing and managing multiple OpenStack installation with Yaook and GitOps, and I will warmly welcome Matthias Haag from UruTech AG. He's the CEO and founder of UruTech, and he has more than 20 years of experience with Unix and Linux and is an open source enthusiast. Yeah, his slogan is "Computers are just a tool to make human life easier." So then let's see if it's proven by this talk, another one. And yeah, I will hand over the presentation to you, Matthias, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, let's see how to share. I still cannot share. So I think you need to unshare first. Yeah.
Yeah, just wait a second. Pause share, is it that one? Is it now possible?
No, you need to unshare. You need to stop the share.
Okay. There's no unshare here, so unshare. Okay.
Great. Now it works. Thank you. Okay. So now you should see my slide.
Yeah. Great.
But I don't see any participants here in this when I share, but okay. Yeah, now it works. Okay, that's better. So you still see my share, my slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful.
Okay, so welcome to the ALASCA Tech Talk number 18, where I want to present how we do OpenStack installations with Yaook and GitOps on multiple clusters. Who am I? I'm Jan, made an short introduction. I'm CEO and founder of UruTech AG. We founded 2 years ago. The members of UruTech AG are working together since more than 2 years, so we have long history. And you can see my metrics handle here if you got any questions or need contact, something like that. Some short words about UruTech AG, which are not commercial. We are building open source cloud platforms on bare metal for customers. We are not a public cloud provider, but we make the techniques to help customers to get such a provider or to have it internally. And in order to do this, we decided to make 4 products, which are evolving. So we got one product which is responsible for the bare metal provisioning, which is called Uhuru Metal, which is based on Cluster API and Metal Cubed. We will not talk about this today that much. About the next one, it's Uhuru Stack. It's OpenStack, which is provisioned via Kubernetes and Kubernetes operators. So this is basically done with Yaook, and so we'll go deeper into that today. And we got a third one, which is called Uhuru Garden or uGarden, which is Kubernetes as a service on OpenStack. So if you got the ERS cloud platform, you probably want to have Kubernetes clusters on demand, and therefore we want to bring uGarden in place. And there are users which are not familiar with the CLI or which want to come in, and for these users we are about to build a user interface, a graphical user interface called Uhuru View, which is a web UI for OpenStack. basically, and but will also help administrators to get into administration of Uhuru Metal and Uhuru Stack and so on. So this is a comprehensive UI at the end if it's done. So we are still in progress to do so, but so yeah. So that's what we are doing, and now I want to tell you a little bit about our journey, how we got there, and what happened in between, and so on, and so maybe you understand stuff a little bit better. So so 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago, we started to investigate OpenStack, Kubernetes, and all the stuff which comes with that. And we found out that deploying Kubernetes and also OpenStack is not that easy. So it takes time. You have to look at this and that, and there are Ansible-based installers like Collar Ansible for OpenStack. For Kubernetes, you can use Kubespray, which is fine, which was state of the art, but which is not something I like very much, to be honest. Yeah. So Ansible is a tool. You fire it up, and it will deploy the stuff probably after some runtime, and then it's done. And if you modify something on the system later on, it stays modified. Maybe for a bug fix, you have a problem, an operational problem, and then you do a bug fix there. Then you fix it, it runs, and maybe sometime later, 1 month later or something like that, you will run the Ansible playbook again, and your fix was not committed, and the fix is gone, and you will have the same problem again. That's one of the big points why I don't like Ansible, and yeah, and I've seen this scenario in my history a lot of times. So yeah, that's one of the big points for me. And in 3 years ago, it's really right now. It's more or less exactly 3 years ago. We defined a vision in the Uhuru Tech team. We was not yet Uhuru Tech, but we were already working as team together. And in this vision, we decided that we want to build on-premise cloud with the GitOps operator and add an UI for multi-cloud to that. And doing that, we use self-developed tools which we will publish open source. So that was the beginning of all this, maybe of this journey, maybe. And in the same month or some days later, I think it was, Yaook was released and was released open source. And we said, okay, that matches perfect. Let's go the way with Yaook because it's obvious. Yeah, and some months later, we also had a first contact to contributors of Yaook, and was the first starting point. So and then we had challenges. So we tried out to use Yaook. The first challenge was to get a Kubernetes in a good manner on bare metal. We tried this Ansible stuff, and yeah, it works. And we decided to not use Ansible. We decided to use Cluster API also for the bare metal provisioning, which took us a little bit of time, of course. But yeah, I think it was a good decision still. I will not talk about that too much today, but maybe on the ALASCA summit. Hint. So yeah. What were other challenges? We had the concepts we had to understand, which are in Yaook, which are in OpenStack, and the much of code we had to read. And in German we say Neuland, which is a used term. It was a lot to learn, of course, and challenge was also to not to lose someone of the team, neither technically nor in another way. And and then of course we founded Uhuru Tech during this time, and doing this technical stuff and founding a company at the same time is really challenging. I can tell you. So, but yeah, it was worth for us. So, and then we had a first show, which was at the Cloudland 2022. We decided to bring hardware to the conference and to build up an OpenStack with Yaook in this as live session at the conference. And yeah, we got the hardware delivered in May and the demo was in June. So it was rather tough to bring all in place, but we managed it. It worked and it was a success. So yeah. So then after this show, we said we found ourselves, we talked again and said, okay, where to focus next, what to do next. And so we said, okay, this bare metal provisioning topic is really large and it needs more effort. And yeah, we first put our focus on that. We introduced the eye testing for bare metal provisioning, which requires a lot of some things around to do that, of course, because you don't have that much bare metal machines to do CI testing, of course. And by the way, we made some first Yaook contributions. So first thing we contributed to Yaook was cleaning up the Docker files, making a policy for how to write Docker files in Yaook. Then some small fixes came around from our side and improvements until now. And yeah, and then there kind of came some customer installations around. So, okay, nice. But how to deal with that? What's the challenge? How to keep all these installations in sync? You install a cluster here, a cluster there, and you make configurations, and then you have some basics you want to deploy on all clusters. You don't want to touch all clusters. That's not useful. So then we designed this idea. I hope the picture is large enough. The idea is to have one UStack repository, which is maintained by us, in which resides, so you say software and some default configurations, so which helps also to spin up a cluster in a very short time because it's very defaulted and opinionated in this way. And then you can have the customers here and the customer environments. And for each customer, you have a custom repository, which with the configuration data for the customer. So for each customer, there is at least one information or two information which are individual or for the environment individual. And that's will be more, of course, in the future. But so in this way, we have the option to do so. So then we have this Argo CD, which is merging the data of the UStack repository and the custom repository and helps us to spin up the OpenStack. So that's the idea. Yeah. And now it's showtime. I will switch my share. 1 second. I will show you all that, what I told you about the idea. Let's find a correct terminal. Hope it this one. Do you see my cursor? Is it the right terminal I shared? I don't see my share myself, so I have to ask.
So we see a green screen or some green.
Yes. Do you see now a K9S?
No.
No? Okay,
Maybe
1 second. Then I probably
some delay, maybe.
use the wrong one. 1 second. So let's see. It's a little bit weird so do you see now my K9S? No.
No.
Okay. Okay. Let's give this one a try. I don't like it. So yeah, now you see a K9S. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. What have I done before? I prepared a virtual machine on my laptop with 8 virtual CPUs and 32 gig memory. So rather small for an OpenStack environment. And there's a K3S running on it with Argo CD already deployed and the Metal LB for load balancing services. Nothing more. So, and now I will go through the README, which is in the UStack repository, and try to spin up an OpenStack on this cluster. And yeah, one more thing I prepared was this one, I have a repository, which is also upstream, published. So it's a private repository of me, where I put a README and a values YAML, which is rather short. Yeah, so you have only one value set here, but that's just to let you know what I did before. Okay. So if I go to through the README, I say, okay, prepare the cluster, which is done already. Configure Argo CD. Okay, Argo CD comes with some configuration which is not useful, especially if you use Helium, as I do. So you have the config map of Argo CD, and you see it's not configured. So I need to do some add some configuration to that. So we need to ignore aggregated rows, which come from some resources which create resource tags inside, which would be overridden by Argo CD otherwise. And I need to ignore Cilium identities, which are created for all this stuff. So let's have a look again at the map. So now it looks much better for the configuration. And so then I want to know how can I reach Argo CD? I have an external IP of the Argo CD, which is fine. So then I need a Argo CD initial password. And next step is to log in to Argo CD. Therefore, I need an external IP address. I'll trust this certificate. Yes. I log in with admin and the password given here. Great, works. So next step, I've logged in, and now I want to add my I don't need a step, because I would need to add my repository credentials if I would not have made it public. So in a usual case, you will protect your repository with your configuration, and you will need an access token. So, but we don't need this step right now. So, so the next point is that we can start a deployment. So easy, yeah. So I need some environment variables to make this more easy. I have a repo URL, which is the repository I showed you before, with the values YAML. And in the next step, I will just deploy the Argo CD application, which is very simple. So you have here, I hope you can see it well. One second, I still have some bug inside from yesterday. 1 second. So great. Okay, one more time. So what do you see here? We have two sources for the Argo CD application. One source is the UStack repository, as you saw in the picture before. That was the thing from yesterday. I have to give the branch on which it relies on. So we are also able to make stable branches, integration branches, and so on for this stuff. And then we give Argo CD an order how to consume the values. So we have the values YAML of the UStack repository, and then we have some reference, which is called override, and we want to use from this reference the file values YAML in the root directory. So override is the private repo I showed before, and the reference is given here. So that's it. Well, great, the Argo CD application. And if the demo god is well settled today, we will see how it spins up. So, but we can also force it. Sim. We'll see the UStack. So no, it should run already. Yeah, it's working. Okay, I was too impatient. So now Argo CD spins up the first containers. You see a cert manager now, but they are pending, and yeah. So we need to also set some labels to continue with that. also use in the UStack repository the labels which come from Yaook right now. And Yaook will also require some labels later on to spin up the resources. So I will go back and set the labels. 1 second. Just wrong. So this one, copy and paste. So I said the node is called UStack. So and then I set these labels, which are from Yaook. You have the documentation of Yaook for that. And afterwards it should go on. And yeah, now containers are getting created. So we also let's do this run. And now we also need what we also need from outside is a root CA for the issuer in the Yaook namespace, because Yaook is the Yaook services, or Yaook is provisioning the OpenStack services all with SSL secured in between, and therefore we need an issuer inside for the cert manager. So we will generate this CI. So that's it. And furthermore, and the third thing we need from outside currently is a secret for the backup credentials. So the secret is referenced in some container configuration. It's currently not used, but for the to spin up everything correctly, we will also need this secret. It's just from to have, because the reference is required. It's referenced. So yeah, and now you see, yeah, the stuff is coming up. We have cert manager now. We have ingress. We have some Prometheus stuff. The Prometheus stuff is basically necessary to have the custom resource definitions for Yaook, because Yaook is relying on this. And yeah, now we see that the Yaook operators are created. Yeah, so what can we do in between? So, but it takes not very much time. So it's not like an Ansible installer. You have to know it's really fast. So okay, so now Yaook is running, and next now the Yaook operators should take over and deploy the OpenStack services, which will start with Keystone. Yes, and the rest. So, but they are deployed in parallel, so that doesn't matter for us. Yeah. So it's fine to see the machine working and doing nothing else by yourself. That's always great. So do I have to view something more here? No, I don't think so. So well, we can have a look at the repository in between, which is used for that to the UStack repository itself. So let's go to so let's have a look at our defaults values YAML. So this is the values YAML which is provided by us in the UStack repository. So you see the settings you can meet here. You have a namespace defined for UStack, so it's not heavily used, or is it anyway used? I don't know, but we already defined it here. So then you can globally set a sync policy for all the Argo CD applications which are spawned up by the UStack application. So you can turn off the autosync or pruning or something like that if you like. You define the basics for all ingresses. So usually you have a domain name which is for all ingresses the same, and you have an issuer. We bring a cluster issuer which is used to have a default, but you should probably use a Let's Encrypt issuer or anything else you have in your environment. And then we define some affinity rule for the infrastructure services like Cert Manager or Ingress, so that these pods will run only on nodes which match these expressions, and so on. And then next is the definitions of the applications which are deployed. So we have Prometheus stack enabled, as I told you before, and yeah, this is still so. And you can override all the values of the deployment here if you like. And what we can do, what the goal was also, is to have a central management for all these versions you will have to maintain, and they are increasing very fast, you know, probably. So we have Ingress, which is published every, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, or something like that. And yeah, you can control this version centrally, and all clusters will have the same version if you like that. So then you make some backup configuration for all the backups of the Yaook databases and so on, which you need to back up. And then you have the core of the Yaook operators. You define the namespace of Yaook, which is obviously called Yaook for us. And we have an operator base version. So we have the Yaook operator version and define a verbosity for the operators, the log verbosity. And we can also override later on this version for a specific operator. So for example, if you got a problem with neutron operator of Yaook for whatever reasons, or you are developing on then something with the neutron operator, you want probably to deploy your own chart or your own image for this operator. Then you can either define your own version of this operator, or you can override the image which is used for this operator, and so on. And yeah, that's very fine way to manage this Yaook stuff, I think. And yeah, and so it goes on with the Yaook stuff. We have an opinion about which operators are basically needed and which are not. So these operators are deployed, the others are not deployed. But I think we got all operators inside this chart, so you can use this also as example or template. And last but not least, there comes the OpenStack configuration. So Yaook is currently for all components at set. Some components are newer. You define the region which is used for these deployments which are created. So, and the replicas is a global configuration. How many database, API, and so on replicas do you want to have? So we start here with 1 for a production environment. It's not useful, of course. Yes. So, and then we can control this schedule rule. So because we say, okay, if I have a database cluster, I never want to run 2 database pods on one node, one physical node, because in this case, the database cluster doesn't make sense. So, and you can control it. Yeah, the Yaook default is different here. So we said, okay, we want another one. Yeah, and then you can control your MySQLs, which storage class you use. You see by default, we are using local path provisioner in the CSI. And have the configuration defaults, and you can also override these configurations for each OpenStack service as you need it. And yeah, and so on. And there you see this configuration, which was in the values YAML of the individual repository. There is an UUID which is set for Cinder and for Nova, which has to be the same, because otherwise it doesn't work, and to create volumes with Cinder and use them in Nova later on. And we define the monohost here for Ceph. The Ceph deployment itself is still missing, but it's upcoming the next time in our repository. And what we else have here, and then you can make configurations for your services themselves. You can enable them, disable them, however you like. You can access the OpenStack config currently, and yeah, maybe it will be more configurable in the future, but that's the state of current state. Yes, and you see Neutron is disabled currently because Neutron needs some special configuration, obviously, because you need a network interface, an uplink network interface, for which you cannot set a useful default for all environments. So that's why it's disabled. And yeah, so, but now let's have a look what our cluster is doing. It looks like there are already some services running. Let's see. So what do we have? We have Cinder API, which is currently created. We have the Keystone API, which is already there. We have the Glance DB sync, which is currently running. We have some Nova API database already. Yes, looks good. So it takes a little bit of time, of course, because I'm on my laptop. Or if you run this on a fast server, it's much faster, obviously. Some services will not come up on this environment because I don't have a Ceph cluster yet, which is required for Cinder Volume Ceph, obviously, and also for Glance API. So this will not work. But as we have Keystone API already, we can check if we can query it. So let's see that. Git couple. Good. So let's see the services, and I want to see the IP address of the ingress controller, which is this one. Okay. And I already prepared a etc hosts entry for the Keystone my user cloud. Okay, that's fine. It matches to this one. Now I want to curl to see. I ignore. We have a no valid certificate right now, so we have to ignore certificate errors in curl. And I want to see if my Keystone is answering, and yeah, looks good. So Keystone is working, and the other stuff will also come up. So yeah, that basically is the main part of the demo. We can now also enable Neutron, so to see what happens if I 1 second, it will increase my window size a little bit because I don't like the spaces here. I hope it's okay for you guys. Yeah, okay. What we can do now is to add something to the values of, no, not these values. I have this values file for my individual repository. So I add here this Neutron stuff. Prepared already. So I have OpenStack services, Neutron enabled. I have some VLAN configuration, which is currently the only mode which is supported here in this UStack. But the others will come too, of course, which are required for us. Yeah, and then we give the uplink interface, we give it the bridge name, and we have a VLAN range. That's it. Git values YAML add Neutron config git push. And maybe there's some old. So okay. And now we should see some Neutron coming up sooner or later. Yeah, but I think we are running out of time if we wait too long. Yeah, critical CPU level, I see. Yeah, okay, because my virtual machine is running out of resources. But I think it's nice to see that you can run it all on your laptop and it's even working. It's yeah.
And Matthias,
yeah,
I see the Horizon interface. Maybe it's working, or are they
Yes.
missing some credentials?
it's also working. You have the initial credentials. 1 second, I also need to adapt the etc host. 1 second, we can do that. So, okay. Then let's change the share. Cloud. So, okay, switch. Stop sharing. Not sharing. Window. Security risk. So yeah, now we are on this horizon interface. I'm going to make the window a little bit smaller. Let's say, okay, let's go on. And we have an OpenStack already running. I don't have the credentials are inside the Kubernetes, but yeah, so you can access them and go on with that as Yaook proposed.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So then let's go back to the presentation. So what are the next plan steps? So we will add Ceph and other resources to the repository. So we will, for example, add all the Yaook provided service, the OpenStack services, which are not all complete yet. So there's some missing, of course, because of some time. Then we will introduce CI testing for all the stuff we are doing there. We will also introduce sealed secrets to be able to provide secrets in your custom repository. Oh, sorry, was so that you can, for example, put your CA also in the Git repository and to have it secured via sealed secrets, if that is something you like. And so on. And then, yeah, and of course, there will be some evolution for all this stuff. It's now at a nice point to evolve it, to go on with that, and yeah, to use it, of course. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. I say thank you. You have the source of all the use tech is here upstream on our GitLab group. And if you have questions, come up.
Yeah, thank you very much, Matthias. Nice presentation. Yeah, are there any questions from the audience? So let's see in the chat. No questions.
Much information.
Yeah, but quite visual. It's very, very good to see that. Yeah, maybe I have a question. Okay, there's a question.
Yeah, hi, this is Tor from Cyprus. You said you want to add Ceph and other resources. What's sort of your timeline for that?
The next weeks and months, I think. We have now customers which want these resources, and where we will deploy it also in a production environment sooner or later. So it's even more sooner than later. And therefore, we also need these other resources.
So within the next 6 months, it should be there.
Yes. We are currently working on this, to be honest, really the next weeks. So, and there will come some other stuff that you don't need to bring your own Ceph cluster, for example.
Okay. Are you guys thinking about virtual file systems in it, on VirtIOFS or something like that too, or?
In which sense? Or which
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
Where do you see these virtual file systems, or for what reason?
Well, I'm just hearing sort of whispers around that the virtual file system is very useful in a high security environment, and I'm trying to orient myself if
Okay.
this virtual file system or virt-IOFS, if that's what it's good for, and how it works in certifiable systems. So it's a little bit a random question.
Yeah. Yes, to be honest, I did not heard about that yet, and and in this context, I did not think about it, of course. So yeah.
Are you guys working with you know, I mean, these days everybody talks about secure cloud and certified cloud and BSI, and are you guys involved with that at all in this space, or?
Yeah, more or less. So we have a large customer for which we are doing the bare metal Kubernetes stuff,
Okay.
and they are in a regulated environment, and so we have challenges to get audited in this environment, which are really big challenges to be honest. And same for here. But as far as I know, the Yaook environment itself is already audited in some places, so I don't see very much problems with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? So maybe I have a little question for you, Matthias. You spoke about the next steps and about sealed secrets. Are there any elaboration about the technology we'll use, or is there
Yes, so we use it. We also use sealed secrets, which is really the name of the technique in at U-Metal to bring secrets in there. And yeah, that works well, I can tell you. So you will create a secret YAML locally, and you deal it with the sealed secrets mechanism, and you just deploy the sealed secret into your Git repository. And the key, of course, you have some central key in the beginning, which you have to write down or whatever, bring it to a secure place. And this is the initial start to get a sealed secret mechanism in place in your cluster. So, but it's really working fine, I think.
okay? Thank you. And you showed us the Git repository where you defined your Argo CD YAML configuration. I know that Yaook has some kind of configuration file for the OpenStack stuff and part, and how these two YAML files work together.
Yes. So basically, we are doing Helm templating in UStack. So, and Argo CD has Helm templating inside. So, what we have the Yaook defined custom resources, which are also in this repository. You can, if you look at it, you will find the Yaook custom resources, which have some placeholders inside, and these placeholders are filled with the values we have defined in our values YAML. So because we also saw you define some values at several places in the Yaook CRD in the Yaook configuration. So for example, replicas. Yeah, you have in one custom resource you have the replicas at 10 places, and we want to be able to control it at one place and to have it all common. So it was the reason also to bring that up in this way. Yeah.
Ah, okay, nice. And yeah, maybe one last question. Yeah, you showed us that you can have the same version for every part of your of OpenStack defined in your Git YAML. Is it also possible to have different versions for each components? So
yes, sure. Yes, you can define the version for each OpenStack service individually, as OpenStack allows it, of course. Yes, but and what Yaook supports currently, but that's possible. That's no problem. We just want to have one baseline for all the OpenStack services, and from that on, you can define by your own, on your own, and yeah, how you You can also override a default for your custom installation if you like. So that's also possible.
Nice, nice. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the audience? Guess we have 10 minutes left, so there's some time to discuss here.
Yes, maybe it was faster than expected.
Is your stack running right now on your laptop?
Yes, it's running
Everything
now.
up?
Yeah, I can show you again. 1 second. Window. Yes, it is. So now you see that we have also Neutron services running, and I think we have all services up and running now. Yeah. Yeah, this big part of Cinder volume Ceph because Ceph is missing, and Glance API, as I told you, because they both require Ceph to be present. And yeah, so we have all stuff running now, and you can use OpenStack. So usually, yeah. And you can also use it as development platform, for example, because if you want to develop Yaook operator stuff, you probably want to bring up a Yaook cluster very fast, and that helps a lot if you have such a mechanism for that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, maybe I have another question about the Yaook part, the Kubernetes part. You told us that it's running on bare metal.
Mhm.
Are there any main challenges, or what are the main challenges to get this running on the bare metal part?
Yeah, for bare metal hosts, you don't have an API usually to provision it like you have it on OpenStack. So on OpenStack, you just say server create, and the server spins up, and you have a server. And so for bare metal, you will need some mechanism which brings this API for bare metal provisioning. In our case, we are doing that with Metal Cube, so written Metal 3, which is the bare metal provisioning API. And they bring a provider for cluster API with. So we can use cluster API to provision bare metal machines with Kubernetes on it ready. And yeah, and the challenges are network, to be honest. Networking is always a topic. Yeah, you have to be good prepared to fit all the needs you have in bare metal environments for networking. We are still working on this, and it's tough, but we are getting to a point, I think, now where it's getting very good. And for this stuff, we will also use GitOps mechanisms to bring up this bare metal stuff. So this is not a talk maybe, but yeah. Yeah, and what are challenges at bare metal? Networking, I told you, storage is something discussable. For me, Ceph is very fine. Some people say Ceph is too complex. I don't know. Yeah. So, but that's the key points. I think this bare metal provisioning API has to work well. The provisioning on the disks, on the physical disks, has to be controlled in some way, and yeah, and the networking, which is probably the largest topic of all.
Always somehow. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Matthias.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
If there are no any other questions, I will go on with our news and events on the ALASCA community. So let's get back to the slides. Okay. So yeah. Oh, that's too fast. Yeah, the main big thing is the ALASCA Summit. It will happen in the end of October. You can see the program at the alaska.cloud webpage. There's a registration page. And just be aware that all participants have to register, also including the speakers and sponsors. So don't forget to register everybody. And yeah, the next new cool things is we have 2 new members, the DISC GmbH or GmbH. In Germany, it's supporting companies to identify their digital dependencies, to qualify their digital sovereignty, and to reduce, of course, the dependencies on somehow this software and do not have the vendor login thing. And the other member is the Awesome IT, focused on software development, the operation of cloud and open source applications, and consulting services. So here are some members from the 2 communities and new members. Just speak up. Maybe it's nice to hear you and to hear some words maybe. I don't know if there are some members of the 2 companies. Seems not to be the case. Okay, then let's go to our last point. Don't forget, the end of September, we have a next Tech Talk, the upcoming Tech Talk, which will be a presentation about YOS network, by YOS Networks, which has the same name, the YOS software. It will be presented by Date Wang. I guess I see him today. Oh, okay. And in the end of October, we have a next talk about cloud computing at any scale by Stephanie Graber. Be aware that this will start at 1 p.m. because all maintainers based on other time zones, they will get up at 5 o'clock and have a talk, I guess. So it's shifted a bit. And in the end of November, we have a talk about quantifying digital sovereignty by Anastasia and Marcel of the new members, DISC GmbH. And in the December, there will be no Tech Talk. We have a Christmas break, of course. Everybody wants to get to their families and have a nice time. So this is the overview. And thank you, everybody, to be a part of this presentation. Thank you, Matthias, for the nice talk and the good discussion. And hope you see you guys on the next time, on the Tech Talk number 19th in September. So stay well, have a good time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.